Yeah. Marathon running, but the charts don't last. Steam to be watchers watching numbers climb. Every hour another threat appears. Dead game already, shout the critics and peers. Destiny veterans drawing battle lines. Console warriors jumping in the fight. AAA giants in the pride. Everybody picking sides tonight. Whoa. Watching the numbers tick and turn. Truth gets buried while the hot takes burn. Every headline spinning unstable. We start the signal at the game in Roundtable. Say the game in Roundtable. Push the square laughing at the sharp police. Unemployed behavior roasting the feeds. Journalists guarding their favorite games. Players asking who's keeping score the same. But most of the crowd's on PC tonight. Steam charts glowing in neon light. 80,000 jumping in the run. Is this the start of flash and done? Marathon stand when the noise is loud. Or sink beneath the arguing crowd. Every launch and every label lands up judge at the Roundtable. Chicken game and Roundtable. Watching the numbers tick and turn. Every side saying they've been burned. No spin cycle, no PR cable. We break it down at the game in Roundtable.
All right, welcome in everybody. It's a new week, a new song, and we got the Roundtable back. Following up on, I think, what is a real interesting week. Last week we saw the launch of Marathon. We've seen its peak on Thursday. We have not seen it yet return to its height of heights. I've been watching the numbers. I am not unemployed, but I felt that comment that was made this week was so funny because I was like, so interesting, because we all know for a fact, hands down, that everybody watches the numbers. And I think it's some weird thing that we see happen from time to time when people circle the wagons. But today we're also going to be talking about some Project Helix news. GDC was this week. So I think it's something really interesting to see about what this console is for the Xbox brand. I am joined by none other than Lono, Chrono, and Scrag this week to break it all down, give our takes. And so welcome in, everybody. If you could do a huge favor for the show, hit that like button. The last show actually got over 100 likes. So thank you guys hugely for that epic support. But let's get started. I think we should start with the Xbox Helix PC console hybrid. What does this mean? News coming out of GDC, which obviously focuses in on the developers, but there's a lot that I think we can take away from it. Let's go to Lono in the chair. Been covering it this week. What's your read, sir?
I've got a lot of unanswered questions because it does seem like they're really focused on it being a PC, and I think that's fine. I don't think that's an insult. I don't think I'm taking away from it. I think that's a better way to talk about it because it essentially is going to be a PC that will load you into an Xbox experience. And the questions I have, though, are how is back compat going to work? Because we were told it was going to be native. I think what that means is it's not going to be cloud. It'll be local. So native kind of threw people off. Like, what does that actually mean? It'll be some type of emulation. What does it mean for Series X and S games? Because there are going to be games that will only be playable on Series X and S. That what will you do when you boot up your Helix? Is it going to be a translation layer? Is it going to be some type of emulator? What's it look like for GTA 6? I think GTA 6 is going to come to PC faster. I don't think you're going to wait like a year or 2 years. I think it'll be like 6 months, like middle of 2027. It'll be on PC. And then when you're playing on the Helix, which version would you play then? Would you play the PC version? Or if you bought it on your Xbox, would you play that version? Or would that be diminished performance if it's going through some type of emulation or translation layer or something? I don't know enough. That's why I wanted some answers on that. It even sounds like they're going to have people sort of primarily developing for PC. You're going to develop for PC, and then you can use these tools to take your games over to Gen 9 consoles. They had, I guess, a talk about how you can do that in a day. Is that AI? What are they doing? Is that a large language model that they're going to be using to get games to go from PC there? What's the purpose of the dev kit? Like,
Right.
if it's essentially a PC, like, is the dev kit for people that want to work on the backwards compat, or is it just, well, no, here's our prefab, this is the hardware, you can design for our hardware? Is it even going to saturate the market that much for somebody to want a dev kit? Like, that's the other question I have, is like, what really would be, I guess, the purpose of the dev kit? So sounds good, promising, sounds like a PC that I could throw in my living room. But again, just like I said last week, I'm buying it for another marketplace. I'm primarily buying it for, to have Steam and a more performant machine in my living room, because it does sound like it's going to be stronger than the Steam machine. But I'm not necessarily buying it for Xbox, because back compat's great, but I don't interact with it all that much. It would primarily be to have Steam in the living room.
You bring up a really good point about the Steam machine, and I think that's where I want to go to my Xbox Microsoft salty co-host here with Scrag, because being pro Steam machine and the concept of the RAM crisis, etc., the fact that you would be looking at the Helix over the Steam machine, I'd love to get Scrag's kind of take on kind of the news, especially does he see this having greater market penetration than the Steam machine, or up to you? What do you think, Scrag?
Well, I definitely don't see it not having market penetration at all. So, like, the thing that Xbox has going for it is there's a lot of people who really like Xbox still, as is pretty apparent by this panel of co-hosts here. But the name recognition for Xbox is pretty great. The name recognition for Steam Machine, while extremely high, the thing about Steam Machine is you have to have a Steam account to buy it. So for me, the way I see it is the amount of people who are playing on Xbox that will not want to set up a Steam account is probably high enough for Xbox to actually have a shot, even if their compatibility layer, whatever they use, it's probably just going to be Windows, so there may not be a compatibility layer. But whatever they're using is not going to matter to the people who don't want to make a Steam account to get a Steam machine. It could even not even be as powerful as the Steam machine, hypothetically, and people would still buy it, I think, just because it's Xbox. So they have that going for them. I am not going to buy one. I don't see a reason for one, even when it comes to
Are you getting a Steam machine?
I might, but if I got a Steam machine, it would just be to replace the living room PC I have right now, which is running on a 4790K and a 3090, which is a strange combination. So compiling shaders on that thing takes forever. So yeah, I pretty much, if I was gonna get one, I would just be to replace that. But we really gotta see what the prices are. Because if the price is more than, say, $700, that's the price of what it would cost me to get a new motherboard and processor and set of RAM for my PC in there, and I'd just do that instead.
That's fair. That's fair. What do you think, Chrono?
Well, with everything that they dropped this week, I'm a little more hopeful for what the vision for Helix is. They kind of clarified on the dev side the improved pipeline for builds. They mentioned some stuff about the new GDK allows them to bake in some of the play anywhere kind of logic for cross play and cross saves and everything without having to manage all of that. I guess in the previous pipeline it was a lot more work to do. So if they've nailed on the dev side the play anywhere features, making it super simple to go, hey, you can, when you launch, you're going to be on PC, Xbox, and then if you build that PlayStation version, your save can come with you, or your players can bring their saves with them for your game without, having to license out a bunch of extra stuff or add on features. At least that's how I read what they published. Mostly Windows Central articles this week that I've been reading. They do such a good job on the coverage, but I think my favorite thing was they dropped the "This is an Xbox" marketing off of the website. The Xbox website no longer shows "This is an Xbox" branding anymore. So like they've clearly like had a clean break from old marketing, and now we've moved into Helix and the future and whatever that means. I'm looking forward to it. I definitely want something to replace my existing Xbox. That has I like the PC approach. Whether that's a Steam machine or a Helix, I don't know. It could be both, because I want something in my living room and in my office. So, what does it matter? I guess it comes down to performance at that point and availability. If I can't get my hands on one, then I'm definitely going to try to get the other.
I, for one, am disappointed they dropped the "This is an Xbox" campaign, because now I can no longer call my fridge an Xbox. But it is what it is. So it's like,
hey, go get me a drink out the Xbox.
like, I need. Can you get me a, like? Why is he calling everything an Xbox? He's clearly jumped the shark. But no, I think that essentially, is going to be good, and hopefully we'll see end up less confusing marketing. As a dev, I haven't seen a lot of discussion about how, like, you didn't see any UWP, which is the Universal Windows Platform, which has been included in their previous charts. I think that's actually a really significant jump, more kind of focusing in on that. What I'm looking for in terms of the road to Helix, because I'm already sold on getting the Helix in and of itself for the Lane living room, just for exactly what Lono kind of highlighted earlier. Like, yeah, I want my games. I want them to work. I like my Xbox ROG Ally. It is still too much Windows and less console. And that is essentially the roadmap that I'm trajectory on for the Helix in and of itself. And I think April is going to be the first kind of main preview of what that could start to look like, where you're kind of booting into the Xbox Windows full screen experience. Because right now, when I boot up the ROG Ally, it's got my, the same icon, my same pin that my PC does, because it's all my same Microsoft account. And I would much rather just be like, give me that Xbox experience. And the performance and the reactivity of the Xbox full screen experience is not what it is needed yet. For, like, if a console player had to do like that, they'd get annoyed so quickly. And I don't think they would even, be excited to move units. But April is a big milestone. Also, the dev kits, to, like, I don't know what that truly is going to entail for everybody, but setting that coming out in, I guess, early 2027, which kind of puts the Helix, probably for a release in 2027, 1 year after the Steam machine. We'll have to see if PlayStation also, PS6 is also going to go toe to toe with 2027.
It looks like they're trying to jump like right ahead of the PS6, because PlayStation, we've talked about the rumors about, 2028, 29 for the PS6 and whatever that amounts. So it's usually Microsoft that has been like, since the 360, they would come out first, right? And that gave them like the lead in the that generation. But since then, it hasn't mattered as much, because they fumbled the bag in one way or another over the last few generations. So I don't know what being early to market with a hybrid really means, because to me that feels like the tech's going to be dated that much sooner. We're going to be looking sooner to find out what's the next thing after Helix.
I think the price is also going to be vastly critical in terms of them releasing, because at the end of the day, I love the Xbox ROG Ally, but it's $1,000, and I can't recommend it to anybody. Anybody comes up, gamer friends, family, they're like, hey, I've been hearing about there's an Xbox handheld, and it's like, as soon as you mention the price, they're like, no, I'm out. Like, it's like, no, are you crazy? Yeah. It's like, kind of, like, I make content. I guess that puts me in that category. But the price in and of itself is going to be critical, regardless of first to market or not, because what's interesting about that, and we've seen this before, like, if y'all remember the lead up to the Xbox Series and the PlayStation 5, it's like, who would blink first and actually announce the price? Because it's very clear from just business logistics, they didn't want another $600 PlayStation 3 and $400 like,
and
Xbox.
look where we are now.
Right. And now it's like, yeah, the price in and of itself, but it's like, being so like they could come out and announce like 1,000, and then PS6 is like, oh man, we get a year run room and get to come out at 800 or something like that. Who knows what the prices will end up entailing? But I think that essentially that gives them some interesting market and competitive research for the Helix versus the PS6, and as we get into the next generation. But that being said, it's going to be about games, and if games are what moves sales and units, like I think when I look at what's going to get me to upgrade, the only thing that would is just to have that power and the fact that I'm an early adopter. But I'm holding out hope. I'm holding out hope that they get to leverage the Xbox Series X, for example, with that same operating system, and then I can leverage that by moving that into the bedroom.
I hope I'm with you on that. I hope that were to happen. There's been no indication of it.
Really,
and
like a part of this is the roadmap from GDC is like it looks like they've been working on this plan since like the 2012s. Like it's just
it would be that's fair. It reminds me of back in the Xbox 360 days when they would like update the OS and they would completely change how it looks and performs and whatever. And if they're going that route, I welcome it, because I mean the Xbox dashboard is really nothing special. It hasn't, it just needs to work.
It's annoying.
If they expand the functionality of my existing console though, just through a software update, then heck yeah, let's go for it. Let's see how it works. I think what's really going to keep me invested is how they handle backwards compatibility on the Series X and S purchases, like those games. Because if it's just a repackaged PC game, okay, cool, I could see them doing that. But I wonder how that's going to really like work out, because it seems like they're trying to get the OG Xbox and Xbox 360 games running on PC via emulation or whatever in its own like container. If they do the same thing, that's cool. I just want to know, like, is that going to be everything, or is it going to be certain games definitely will do it?
In the past, what they've done is they've rolled it out. Like if y'all remember, like this week, here's the 30 games that are now
right. I don't want that.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily want that for the Xbox One and Series X generations, right? Because those games, I feel like, were already built for PC. Those shouldn't be limited to that container limited release, selective release, right? And it's backwards compatibility. It's not a huge deal. I want it because I want it, and I want it for the older games because there's a lot that they're not going to touch. If they're doing this, we've got to go get licenses and make sure the publisher's okay with it and all this stuff. There are games that they will never touch, right? But it'd be nice if I could just pop a disc into the Helix and it's an old Xbox game and it just boots up. Like ideally, that's what I would want.
Lona, I like your take.
Nah, you gotta buy it again. Sorry.
Of course. Lona, I like your take on specifically like, is this a third-party play in terms of their development? Because we've seen with the Series S and X, and you've brought up the Series S's like weaknesses and maybe contributing to a lot of that attrition from the developers themselves. But going with the aspect of I can, for maybe pennies on the dollar, get a game running within the Xbox PC ecosystem. Like I've made a Steam version, I now check a box and it's now ready to go for the Xbox, whether it's on PC or whatnot. This to me reads like a really good third-party play, because as a developer, even with Xbox Series S and X, 30 million units sold, that's still a market that might be hungry for a game. And if it costs me next to nothing to give them that and I can get some sales from that, it seems like a really good logical third-party play. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they have to remove friction because they created a lot of friction. I think that they've just got to remove that. They don't have a great track record right now with, I mean, there was an interview with Matt Booty where he was like, yeah, you're going to have to plan better bringing games to Series S. Like you're going to have to do more work. That's like the last thing you want to say to like a developer. And then there was sort of the communal response of blame the devs, right? If games were coming late to Xbox, it was the devs' fault. And I kept saying, this is a really quick way to get people to not want to build games for your system, is to make it seem like it's their fault, to have them do extra work. So they've got to remove that friction. And I think that's kind of the focus here, is like, you're going to build for PC and then we're going to make it really easy to bring the games to all these Gen 9 consoles. Because you're not wrong. I mean, 30 million potential consumers, if you can remove that friction point and make it easier for me to bring my game to that platform, that's got to be an effort that they make. I think Mark Cerny has been playing a much smarter game of chess by going to developers and saying, what do you want? I'm going to give you what you want. And that's what PS5 Pro and the PS5 as a base model, that's his work with AMD and Project Amethyst. I think Microsoft's getting a taste of that. I think they're working with AMD to have similar inroads to say, hey, we want it to be really easy to develop for us and to be on our system. The biggest challenge is that making a game for Steam is going to be a bigger priority, I would think, for anybody developing. Like, what sort of saturation do you think Helix is going to get at a higher price premium? I mean, even PlayStation internally knew that the Pro would sell less at 700. They just knew demand would be diminished because the price is higher. Well, what's demand going to be for what amounts to a PC that's probably going to be around $1,000 or more? Like, I don't think Helix is going to move. They're probably not even going to match Series X and S saturation. So again, how do you go to developers and say, hey, it's really good to build for us as you're like the smallest player in the market and you're also in the same space as Steam? Like, I don't know. It's they've got to remove that friction and get some of those relationships to be in a better spot. I also think their own publishing efforts are probably at play here. They know their own developers are probably saying, this is not an easy world to develop in. You've got us building for Series S and X, and now you want us to build for PlayStation? Like, you're really making this tough. I think that's why a lot of their first-party studios have been slow to bring games to market. I think that they, as a structural sort of, edifice of like, here's what you need to do, I think they just made it really hard on their devs. And then you got Amy Hood wanting 30% margins. It's like, I don't know, man. Their outlook, to me, it's hard to read now. Like, it's hard to read the tea. So like, what exactly are they doing here? Because this effort with Helix, I'm just not sure. Is this their way out? Like, do they want OEM versions of this by other companies in the future? Like, do they want to stop doing hardware altogether? Is this kind of like their off ramp, as it were, to get away from traditional consoles and to just start letting other hardware manufacturers make the devices? I just don't know. And I also don't think they're going to retreat and do exclusives to drive purchase of their console either, their PC hybrid or whatever you want to call it. I don't think they're going to retreat on that either. They seem to be really pushing the putting games everywhere strategy. But they're getting rid of the everything is an Xbox marketing because it didn't go over very well. But the strategy, if you listen to them, hasn't changed. I mean, they're still using the same verbiage about gaming is more than one platform now. Gamers game differently now. They game everywhere. They're not changing that either. They're just not using the phrasing because everybody reacted pretty negatively to it.
Well,
Right
that was
now-
stupid.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Chrono.
Hey,
But like,
I love Xbox, but come on, like that was like one of the most boneheaded things to try to tell me everything's an Xbox. It's like, well, no, because then if everything is, then nothing is, and then what does it matter?
the signal I'm looking for is that, do we see them pull their games off of PlayStation as just a location where they put it? I don't right now think so. I'm not seeing that kind of signal, but I do think that there are gamers out there maybe holding on hope, or because if they did, yes, there would be more reason to own and invest in the Xbox ecosystem, but it just seems like a real weird play with it, especially like if they keep with the 30% margin. How do you even get close to that if you cut out PlayStation in that regards? Because they have the PS5, like over 100 million units. It's gonna have a decent run in terms of its life cycle, and that's going to build, I think, momentum going into the PS6 naturally. And even if the PS6 comes in at a higher price, they're still going to publish their games, as we've seen them pulling away from PC, namely in lieu of the news of the Helix and the Steam Machine. I think even pointing more to the Steam Machine as a real competitor for them if they're putting their games out there. So I think regardless of all of it, like for me, it's a product that makes sense for the kind of gaming that I like to do and how I live and float between various different devices. But I don't think I'm the market. I think I'm fairly niche. What do y'all think?
I think the timeline for PlayStation pulling back from PC, I think the thing that tipped it over, it seems to line up with Steam Machine announcement. It does. I don't think that's like the primary causality, but I think there's a distinct difference between videos and comparisons of your branded PlayStation against some PC, just some nameless PC, and starting to see comparisons show up of like your branded PlayStation and a branded box, a branded Steam machine, a branded Helix.
Yeah.
I think that was the tipping point for them. It's like, we're not getting the return we wanted anyway. The sales were on a decline for their ports. They probably were then subsequently getting less conversion because there were people buying PlayStations because they experienced some of these games on PC. So as those numbers trend down, all of a sudden the living room gets invaded. It's like, wait, we're going to have a branded box from Steam and we're going to have some kind of branded PC hybrid from Microsoft that can play our games. Yeah, no, we're pulling out. We don't want that. That's going to dilute what we're trying to do. Their games are always, if you listen to the way they talk about them, they're there to show off the hardware. It's a hardware centric strategy. So it's like, yeah, we'll put games on PC because it's not branded, and then those people might come over to our hardware and our ecosystem. If that starts to get diluted and messed up, PlayStation's going to retreat. It's like that's not why we're doing this. That's why I think people misunderstood the whole reason they went over there. It wasn't like, we're going to make a ton of money. It was, no, we're trying to get people over here. This is what matters the most to us. And I think that's why Nintendo never budged. That, Nintendo is so firm on this. It's like, no, you got to come to us if you want to play our IP.
Absolutely. Speaking of Nintendo, just briefly, it's not a part of the show, but Chrono, you've been playing that Poketopia or
yeah, Pokemon Pokopia. I mean,
Pokopia. There we go.
It's a cozy. I wish Mark probably has played it a lot more than I have, and he couldn't be here today. But it's a very cozy Pokemon game, and it's fantastic. It's doing. I think Nintendo is very surprised by how much this game sold, because in its first 4 days, it sold over 2 million. And physical copies are very hard to get, apparently. Even though it's a game key card, so you're still having to download the game when you get it. It is selling out and doing numbers, and it's just fun. It's, I was pleased that I was pulled into it, because I did the Animal Crossing during lockdown and stuff, and had fun with Animal Crossing. This game is like that, but better, because there's actual stuff to do constantly. Whereas Animal Crossing, you hit a wall every day. Hey, I can't do anything else today, so I got to come back tomorrow. This is just hey, there's quests and stuff you could just keep doing.
I bring it up because you're the key point. I'm glad you mentioned it. The sales, we've already known what they've sold. They've celebrated 2 million plus, copies sold. Another game that's one of the other main topics for today's show is Marathon, and a lot of numbers debating. I've been following it as an unemployed, whatever they
Steam chart watcher.
You are maidenless and unemployed, Ginger.
It's man,
how dare you look at those Steam charts?
How dare I, with my 6 kids and my beautiful wife. And it's fascinating to me. I love live service games, and I love the conversation around them. And I think we've seen, AAA, and we've seen a lot of indie games really pop off that are exciting to see. And it's fun to kind of get behind those when they do. But then at the same time, we've seen live service just struggle with some rare exceptions, Arc Raiders being the exception rather than the rule. The rule is you coming out with a live service game and you're shut down in, maybe a couple of, weeks or months or something like that, as that seems to be more of what happens. And so the numbers are fascinating to me. Now, I don't think it's all doom and gloom, but I do think there are some uncomfortable conversations happening at Bungie in terms of how they, and if they want to try and turn it around. But we're going to know, obviously, way more in terms of it. Now, based off the numbers this weekend, full disclosure, I decided to opt in. I have opted in twice. So I've counted 2 sales, because I bought it on the Xbox platform and I bought it on Steam, because it's cross progression, cross save. It just works. And I really appreciate that about the experience. I would have loved it if it was Xbox Play Anywhere, but I get it. They got to move units. So
when you guys were talking about playing it, and when I saw that it wasn't Play Anywhere, I was like, I might wait.
Yeah, well, that's
but if I wait too long, it's gonna be irrelevant, right?
Who knows? It could be gone. All in all, it's the reaction to it is fascinating. So I want to bring up, we talked a little bit about last week with the multiple factions that are involved, and it is a game that has a lot of people with a lot of different opinions. We've got the AAA versus the indie scene. They're loving it, because you're seeing Slay the Spire 2 absolutely just crush in terms of the number. Here's Bungie AAA PlayStation back. You got the console warriors. Then you got essentially the Destiny player base. So it's and then what I've what I like, and the thing that tickles me more than anything else, is you got the diehard PvPers who are fighting against their own self-interest of me saying, you know what, guys, I'm 40. And after about 9 o'clock at night, I'm really not looking for a PvP sweaty experience. I kind of want to just go shoot some robots and hope that that's kind of my match that I'm playing. They're like, no, well, this is a diehard PvP game. You don't keep your feedback to yourself. It's like, okay, great. And when they shut down your diehard PvP game because other people, because I like while I'm in the minority for the niche for the Xbox Helix, I do think I'm actually a greater representation of gamers now more than ever. And so I'm like, they've got to make some changes. There's some things that are apparently on the roadmap, but at the end of the day, the next couple of weeks, I think, are going to be really interesting numbers wise and are going to help paint I think a clearer picture about the diehards in this regards. Lono, you were pulling out the numbers on your show today. The thing you brought up, I thought was really good. And that's one of the things I wish the conversation would shift to is don't look at, like it's going to go up and down, but what's the floor and what's the ceiling, and look at that floor and the ceiling and seeing if that is going up and down, which right now it is obviously trending downward. But what's your read?
Right. So the difficulty with this is I think that the reason people get so reactionary to talking about the player numbers in the Steam charts is there are people in these spaces that are being really nasty and toxic about it. And I think that we shouldn't use them as a shield. Like, don't hide behind the toxicity and act like anybody talking about Steam numbers is like a hater or, wanting the game to flop and fail. That's kind of happened quite a bit. It happened with High Guard. It was like, yeah, there are people being nasty, but there's also some of us that are just being honest and doing an assessment of like live service viability. We're at a point in the history of gaming where this is a continual conversation, how difficult it is to bring out a game that is an ongoing model. Can you get people to engage at a really good peak, settle to a floor, and like maintain that floor so that you're profitable? It's a perfectly legitimate conversation to have. And we've had this conversation many, many times. Now all of a sudden it's a problem, and I don't quite understand why. It's like I literally today was reminded because I thought somebody made a very excellent point. His name's Hilly, and he said, if this was EA or Ubisoft, I feel like people would be celebrating, crucifying them, and being like, haha, more slop from EA and Ubisoft. And I remembered Skull and Bones, and there was constant dialogue about Skull and Bones and why people were amazed it was still coming out and how bad the player numbers were. So I think there's just so much bias disrupting the conversation. It's like, I get that you wanted the game to be good. We've all been kind of hoping that Bungie could have something else come out that isn't Destiny. I think people have been hoping they could, branch out and do something and do something new. I also think it's difficult when a bunch of content creators go to events and come back or get paid to stream it. And, that kind of corrupts the conversation too a little bit. It's like, well, okay, yeah, you're hyped and excited, but you guys can all easily move on and do something else next week. And this game can be left in the rubble of like a irrelevant directory and no player numbers to speak of. If you look at the games that break out and have done very well, people are like, well, that's anomalous. You can't compare it to, Arc Raiders or Helldivers. I actually think we need to, because that's what it takes to be successful as a live service game. You kind of have to have that thing, that spark, that movement. And when you don't, you tend to head towards disaster. And yes, smaller games, smaller studios have been able to endure with like a smaller group, like a core audience. I don't think Bungie and I don't think PlayStation wants that here. This game was worked on for 5 or 6 years. I don't think Bungie does small. Like, they're a very hubristic company. They're very like, hey, they put from the makers of Destiny and Halo in the trailer. Like, it's hard to think like they were wanting like a teeny audience here. So my advice has been one that people are immediately rejecting, but I'm like, I think you've got to go to all your people that have ever played Destiny over the years, and you got to say, hey, we're going to let people play the game PvE, because that's aspirational content. Like, the aspirational content's PvE. It's like a raid, and it's like, well, you could get all those Destiny homies to come play, and then you might have to make it free to play. I don't know. I would try and make it PvE only first to see if you can get some purchases, like get some resurgence of revenue. And that's a great stopgap, because personally, we don't know why they canceled their GDC talks. People were saying they were canceled weeks ago, and I'm like, I don't know about that. Why were they still listed on the website if they were canceled weeks ago? Why would the GDC not just pull those?
The intern forgot to update the website.
Yeah, maybe. So my personal theory is, I think the thing in Destiny in June is the last hurrah. It's why they changed the name. The way they're talking about it sounds kind of weird. It's like, wait a minute. The way they're phrasing it, it seems like that's the end of Destiny new content. I think all Destiny 2 content beyond that's been shelved. I think the focus is Destiny 3. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to do bandwidth reallocation. I can't see justifying having a lot of people working on this game with the current trajectories. There's no way it's generating a lot of revenue. There just isn't. It's just not that very many people. The report from Paul Tassi, where he says his sources at Bungie say the biggest audience is PC. That means every time you look at those Steam charts, there's less people on console. That's a worrying thing for revenue and for justification of continuance of this project. So I think they're going to have to circle the wagons, focus on D3, stop making content for Destiny 2, and I would put this thing on like hospice care. I just don't think Marathon makes it out of the year with enough people to justify continuing, investing dollars and bandwidth into it.
Now let me ask you a question, Lono.
Okay.
How many hours do you have in Marathon?
Probably 8 total.
I see where your opinion's coming from, and I understand it. I think you should play it a little bit more, because I think the more that people are gonna kind of get the word out to their buddies, I think we're gonna see a little bit different story than what's been going on recently. Personally, we could talk about that, Brian. Me and Brian have been playing a lot. I've been playing a lot.
I actually don't think that you're wrong. I don't think that you're wrong. Like, I actually think the more people play it, the more they enjoy it. It's a game that makes it very difficult to get to that point. That's why the player numbers look the way that they do. Like, I don't know. Like, this game has something, which is I'm like, you've got to get people in. You've got to get a better on-ramp. And if they can't figure out a way to do that, I just think the player numbers are evidence of, like, it's really hard to get to that point to where, yeah, I'm going to do this. Because I told people, I said, if this was PvE only and I didn't have to worry about getting killed so fast, because that's what happens a lot of times, I said, I'd probably be playing this instead of Ghosts of Yotei Legends. Like, that's a really fun update that they pushed out. I was like, I'd be grinding Marathon. Like, it's kind of scratching, that looty, shooty Destiny itch.
The quests, there's a lot of things that I am surprised and find that I enjoy, because you're right. There's a looter, shooter, quest kind of driven aspect, a lot of mystery, the thing I've even with it, because like the pro for me with this game is that I feel like it's a game I can play with my kids watching, and they're actually interested in what's going on. It's a little bit unsettling with that whole like moth eating the worm when you're loading into a match, and I'm like, we have a conversation. It's just like, gosh, like, but at the end of the day, it's like, oh, it's been fun. I even let the kids pick up the controller and get me killed and things like that, and it's like there is this aspect of, I'm like, I see that there is a foundation that they could build on. What I don't know is, will they continue to build on it? And I think that in and of itself for a live service game is a real critical component. They've had success with Destiny 1 and Destiny 2. Obviously, they've got to work when we think about the Taken King really being that thing. So we've seen them down and out before, and then we've seen how they've responded to that. The question is that Marathon isn't like a property that people come to mind right away. And so when the numbers, and to Lona's point, I 100% agree. And that's where the PvP diehards out there get wrong, is that you need to have a way, because ultimately what I think what happens is, if they do that, like give you that ability to play, like for me, like at night, I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to go and PvE it. I'm going to do dungeons. I want to shoot more of the monsters and the creatures. I want to have more of that in my moment to moment gameplay, especially later at night. Well, what ends up happening is they go and check out the PvP side. They're like, hey, I'm having some fun over here. Maybe I will, dip my toe into this, and that gives you a bigger player pool, so that the PvPers can out there connect. Because what ends up happening is that at some point, if they don't have enough, and you have long time matches, that death spiral accelerated. But yeah, like I like the dialogue that you guys are having. Scrag or Lono, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to reply to some people in chat. Even if I played a bunch more, it just isn't going to change the reality of the lack of consumer inertia. Like, that's the problem they have to solve. Like, you could get me to play more and be like, well, now your opinion's more legitimate. Like, I'm not even getting into the finer workings of the ammo economy. And I know that's not what Scrag was saying, but people in chat were kind of like, you need to play more. And it's like, they need to solve the problem of the lack of momentum. Like, you're not wrong either, Ginger. D1 had that huge turnaround moment, but they also sold millions of copies, and then all those people could come back. There just doesn't seem to be evidence of like high volume interest in this game. So even if they do 2.0 or this cryo thing, I don't see a bunch of people that are like, oh, now it's time to go back. It's like you almost have to fix that problem first of like the quantity of interest just doesn't seem like it was there.
I think a lot of it was just a symptom of how it was marketed back when they revealed it. We didn't know what it was when they first showed it. They're like, hey, it's something with that very first trailer. And then we finally learn what it is. And at that time, that wasn't like, the extraction shooter was still kind of a fledgling kind of genre, like isolated to people that were very interested in Tarkov and those kinds of games already. We didn't have Arc Raiders on the scene yet. We didn't have, we didn't have that. So when we finally started seeing it and they did those closed alphas, it didn't draw people in. Like, I don't understand how Bungie flubbed the marketing so bad when it's their own property and their own project, but they just failed to like really sell. Somebody like me who was like, hey, I loved Halo, I liked Destiny, I would be in it. And then I look at it, I'm like, I don't know what you're telling me, to like why I need to play this. Like, there's nothing drawing me in. Now, when they did the server slam and like the big trailer before that got me interested, but not enough to still go and buy it. And it's just because I see the player counts and everything else, and I'm like, I don't know if there's anything in here for me.
And I will say, both of you guys brought up kind of a similar good point in terms of the extraction shooter bit. So the interesting thing about Marathon is if you play a lot of extraction shooters, like Escape from Tarkov, Arc Raiders, a few that have shut down, and then, the Chinese one that's like basically a clone of Tarkov. If you played a ton of extraction shooters, Marathon is like almost the perfect game. But when you don't have any and I'm gonna catch a lot of flack for saying that, I just know it. I can feel it in my bones. It's okay, guys. You can write those comments. It's fine. It won't hurt my feelings. But if you don't have any experience with extraction shooters, I can definitely understand and definitely sympathize with Brian and you guys, how the fact that anyone can just come by and completely destroy you in like about less than a second flat is scary. But one of the things you realize after a long time of playing extraction shooters is that feeling is what keeps you coming back. Without that feeling, it's just another whatever looter shooter.
I think you can still capture that feeling. I think that there can be a balance between the players who maybe don't want that feeling all the time, and then when you kind of have that turn on. I do want to actually take a moment and highlight this comment from chat today. It says, what if Marathon actually evolves as a PvP game and Arc Raiders evolves as a PvE game? Because Marathon cannot compete on the PvE with Arc, and so maybe they double down on PvP. What do you guys think about that?
I agree at one level that Arc Raiders has done really cool stuff with PvE and the bots and stuff, but this is Bungie we're talking about. Like, these guys do excellent PvE content. Like, I don't agree. I don't necessarily think the PvE chops are here yet. We don't know what cryo is going to look like, but this is Bungie. Like, what do we mean? Like, these guys could do awesome PvE in this environment. And I get where Scrag is coming from, that like that's really the thing. It was like when people wanted to have save points in Returnal. I'm like, you can't do that. That you're going to kill the identity of the game. Like the potency, the adrenaline rush of beating a boss only really works when the risk is there. Like, if I die, I lose all my stuff. I think, again, the issue is like that just makes it a very niche offering. It's like it's a very narrow, like it's a Venn diagram of there's a big circle of people who like PvE and loot and people who like PvP, people who kind of like both. It's like this very narrow group in the middle, which is an interesting strategy coming from Bungie. It's like that just doesn't give your game broad appeal. And that means you better nail what you shipped, because then you're going to need movement momentum within the niche. And I don't even know if they have that within the niche. It's like, I don't know. It's like they made it a hardcore extraction shooter. There's no safe pocket. They had to be browbeat about prox chat. It's like, I don't know. I feel like Bungie is in a world there's not even quite clear on like how to build this well. They're already making adjustments to ammo and meta economy, and admitting maybe the bots were a little bit too hard. And I don't know. It seems like this really isn't their world of expertise. They were never great at balancing for PvP and Destiny. I'm not quite sure if they're going to pull it off here either.
I do have to address someone in the chat real quick. Naming and shaming time. Here are my credentials. Fuck you in particular.
All right.
And that's just Steam.
The
lot of soundtracks.
now you're good. I want to build off of something that like Scrag said to me last night. Is that because I've played some Arc Raiders with him, and the aggression based matchmaking I think is genius. I think from what Arc Raiders did there is just like, oh, and I've wondered, I've debated, and I'm gone in my head with when playing Marathon. It's like, man, if they had an aggression, like I wonder how that would feel, because if you play aggressively, then maybe then, yeah, you're going to get matched with people who are aggressive. If you're just like, I just want to, just shoot the robots and go on about my day, and so I've debated that. But last night when playing, Craig was like, remember how in Arc, we're peaceful. We're here to do the PvE stuff. Remember that, because it's going to have an impact on us. Versus here, he's like, be aggressive, like you got to think aggressive. If you see anything that moves, shoot it. Don't even ask questions. Like that's how you got to play this game. That is different from that, the advice. And he's been my Sherpa in both games, from both extraction games. For my personal preference, I think Marathon blows the doors off of Arc Raiders. I think what I experienced with what I've loved from Destiny gets translated over here. In fact, that's been the response to a lot of the tweets that I've put out over the last week about this game, where people are like, oh, so you just wanted to be Destiny? And I go, I always wanted this to be Destiny 3. Like, I am not hiding that fact one bit.
Yeah.
I've said it and I will continue to say it. Destiny 2, they burned me on Lifefall. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't stomach it. And I was really surprised, because I felt like that they had a really good way of hooking me every year to get back in.
That's why I think they really should have built this as like a smaller project, even though it wasn't. But they should have built this as like a side project, as opposed to the makers of Halo and Destiny bring you Marathon, and everybody's like, what is this? Right? Like they should have really like thought about this from like the highest level they could have, and gone, people aren't going to recognize or identify with this immediately. We have to be very transparent about that. And then they didn't. And I'm telling you, as an outsider, I'm interested. I want to get the game, but I just don't see longevity there. And I'm worried. Like, does that mean Bungie's in trouble overall? Like,
I think should. It's $40, dude. Like at the end of the day, like,
but time, like my game time is so limited.
And I get that argument for sure.
So like I don't want to, I could jump in maybe one night a week and have fun, but then like I don't learn anything. I don't build any skill. You know, I don't enjoy it as much as like Scrag, who's playing it, a couple times a week, maybe.
Oh, every night.
They are absolutely fighting an uphill battle right now, because they're fighting a battle for attention. So many people are playing Arc Raiders, Apex Legends, all these other games that they are already invested in. So that's a huge battle there. They're playing a catch-up game of, why would anybody buy the game for $40 when it's very clear its life expectancy seemingly going down every day? So that hurts consumer confidence. People can blame YouTubers all they want. Like I don't think it's our fault. Like nobody's buying the game.
It's your fault individually.
Yeah. And then I think, as you were describing it, Brian, that like you shoot everything. I said I watched Shroud and Peanut play. Burnt Peanut was playing, Shroud was playing, Timmy the Tap Man was playing. And like once they tip over and have lots of ammo and guns, it's literally just shoot everything. And Shroud said that like even on a juice kit, you can die so fast. They missed some guy in a corner and they lost really valuable loot. And I'm like, okay, that's really intense. And there are people that really like that. But here's the issue with that. Even that as a gameplay loop, I think really is going to struggle for longevity, because psychologically that's exhausting to be head on a swivel, shoot everything, hyper intense. Like, I don't know about longevity there. There's not a lot of spectrum. It's like, this is just it all of the time. Like, ooh, wow. Like that's fun sometimes. Like imagine if every day was Trials of Osiris. Every day was a raid or a dungeon by yourself. So
I love
well, that's
Osiris.
the thing.
Like I love those modes. And then it's like, but yes, I agree. Go ahead, just Greg.
Well, But that's the thing that they address really well in this game, is because even though it's marketed as like super hardcore, like, oh, you're gonna kill everyone, you can be revived like multiple times after being full dead in a match by your teammates.
I didn't know that too.
Like,
That was actually
yeah,
really neat.
multiple times. The gear, when you die, they give you gear like in your on you, equipped, ready to go immediately if your stash is below a certain value. They're just like, you died, okay, go back. Like it's not like Tarkov where you have to sit there and like, oh man, I got to get my 5.56. It's FMJ, that's okay, that's good enough. Like like PRS, why do I even have that in here? Like, you don't have to sit there for like 20 minutes setting up your rig. You just go again. And they make it super friendly for people who are not very good at these kinds of games to just play. And it doesn't, like, yes, you can lose good stuff really, really quickly, but that doesn't fucking matter in this game. Like the good weapons are just the bad weapons with mods on them. So as long as you like the general weapon type in general, you can still use it. You may not have 60 rounds to a mag that automatically reloads whenever you shoot someone in the head, but you'll still have it. It's still the same behavior.
When is Cairo? Go ahead, Lona.
I was going to ask a question. So, like, as you know, somebody that's enjoying, you're enjoying the game.
Mhm.
My assessment of that intensity is that kind of works against re-engagement because it's a bit of a meat grinder. Like, what's your response to that? Like, long term, like a month or two from now, do you agree with kind of my take, or do you think no, that intensity is so palpable? People are going to keep coming back, because that's kind of been my thought. Is when you're a hyper intense meat grinder, I feel like people kind of walk away more quickly because it's a very, very almost exhausting like player loop.
I think it can be exhausting, but I definitely think there are multiple ways in this kind of game to like adapt to that. And it's like, not every run has to be like amazing. Like, you can bring out a free kit, you can do a rook run. Rook runs are actually pretty relaxing because if you die, you literally have zero investment. You're not going to get any progression on your quests anyway. It's literally just like go in and grab some stuff and leave. But I definitely can see, to your guys' point, I can see a world in which I would get tired of like constantly having to look over my back. But for me personally, that hasn't happened yet because the game's first person. In regards to that, related to Arc Raiders is third person. You can hear everything on the entire map, like 600 yards away you can get shot. Whereas in this game, if you're in a quiet spot and you don't hear anything, you're probably safe, unless you're playing solos, in which case you're probably about to die because someone's invisible in the corner over there, 100%. So I don't know.
Have you played since they increased the volume? I think they're saying
Yeah.
people are complaining about that it's leading to too much third party.
We played last night. It definitely did increase the amount of third partying, because you can hear gunshots way farther now. But I think they might change that again, because originally my only complaint, or not really only, but my major complaint originally was I can't hear anything. I don't know what's going on unless it's happening in the next room. And now it's kind of like, okay, we kind of got used to not being able to hear stuff unless it was in the next room. So I don't know.
I felt the opposite. I was like, man, I feel like I could hear and follow people. Like, I think the sound design's incredible in this game. I think it's one of the praises it's due is I feel like I can really tell where people are. I don't know. Maybe are you coming from games where you feel like you can hear it further distance? Maybe like, because I know in Apex, I always felt like I could hear from pretty far away as well.
Yeah, like the most recent extraction shooter I played was Arc Raiders. Obviously, you can hear someone open their bag like 100 feet away. Like, you can hear someone above you turn too quick and their boots.
The
scrape
loudest
the ground.
Velcro in space.
This is such a humorous conversation for me as I play and the kids are screaming or running around. And I'm like, y'all hear other players? Like, I just hear my mind just losing sanity. Like, it's fascinating. Oh man, maybe I should get babysitters to play video games so I can be like headphones locked in.
You guys have
that's
sound?
what you need. I just remember all the audio arguments from Apex Legends back in the day, and like it hadn't gotten much better there either. So audio is apparently a tough thing in these kinds of games.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember that. I played Apex early on. And I was like, I there was a notorious moment where we got in a fight with one team, and for the next 10 minutes, it was just another team, another team, another team. It was like everybody just kept coming around. Eventually, we died. It was like, well, eventually somebody got us. It was just third, fourth, and fifth partying in Apex
Oh
Legends.
man, those early seasons were good too. I miss those.
Yeah,
It's like
I enjoyed
that's the
Apex
thing.
too.
There's such a good core with a lot of these games, but it's the burnout and the just time investment just ain't there anymore.
Yep.
I think that's why Fortnite made Save the World free. By the way, I think they're trying to pull
Finally.
away from the battle royale. Like it's seen. There was a report that came out I think today. Battle royale numbers are down across the board. Like your big three, big four are down like 25% since like 2024. And that's not little numbers. Like that's a quarter of your player base has pulled away. You know, and that's
Especially
just
with numbers that they would be pulling anyway. So that's like that represents like, you know, what Marathon wishes they had Marathon wishes they had that 25%. Like they take that drop and insert them into their games. You know, for sure. I think essentially the things that I'm kind of watching for as we go into kind of the second weekend, right, is that the high from on last Sunday was 77K. I wonder what the difference in the drop is. And if for some reason they beat it this Sunday, that's actually a really good sign. I don't really worry about the Monday through like Thursday kind of grind because everybody's got stuff going on in their lives, right? It could be any kind of number of factors. But we're going into another weekend. And to best of my knowledge, there is not a major, massive release of a new game that, you know, is going to step into the arena. So like there are all kinds of factors with these numbers. But I'm looking to Sunday because Sunday for live service games historically tends to actually be the highest point of the week for most players. So last week they were at 77K. This week, that's what I'm watching. And it's always important to note because of the thing that it's my pet peeve in these conversations is that isn't total players. That is representative of a snapshot of time. Concurrent does not equal total. There is an equation of 7 to 11 multiplier to get the monthly active user kind of aspect, the engagement in that regards. But if they can get
sounds like
close,
some unemployed talk there.
Oh,
Brian.
dude,
Yeah, you're sounding real,
I just
sounding
got
real
it, like,
maidenless.
breaking news! Just got an email from work. They're laying me off because I've been watching the Steve DB numbers too closely, as confirmed.
I would fire you right away if you were doing that.
Like, oh man, what are we doing here? But no, that's what I'm looking to is to see what Sunday kind of entails. I see chats confirming that the cryos coming, I think, on Tuesday. I think updates are going to be the only thing that can truly save the game, I think, is updates and word of mouth. Because at the end of the day, if they can't put out content, well, cool, you have your base, they're going to play it, and that's not going to help word of mouth. But if like every week or every couple of weeks, it's like, hey, have y'all seen what they did in Marathon? And we're still talking about it. That's the thing. I was so happy that we finally don't have to talk about High Guard anymore because the trajectory for that
How dare you
game
mention that? That's
was
a dead game.
super clear. Like it's like, guys, like we know how this story ends. Bungie, in and of itself, with the backing of PlayStation, is a mystery to me right now. We don't know how this story ends. I don't know if it's going to turn around or if it's going to collapse. The only way we can know that is with time. So that's what I'm looking for. If you guys want to follow my Twitter, you can go check that out because I'll be I'm posting it over the weekends, covering it. I did my post for Friday. I think all in all, numbers are interesting. This weekend, I think, is going to be critical. And then as we go into the updates and what they continue to add, I think that's going to really kind of tell you if they're, because like somebody's like, it's not even make it a year. And I was like, I don't know. Like if they manage to hold on to a dedicated core fan base, I could see them making it in a year. I could also see them not wanting to invest beyond that. And they say, yep, that's the game. Thanks for playing.
Also, too, one of the
Go
things that I've kind of said, at least to buddies or comment sections or whatever, is like Sony paid how much for Bungie? Like $4 billion. Do you really think that Sony expected this one game to make all of that money back?
No, of course not.
No. But also on that point, do you think that they're really all that worried that there's only about 100,000 people playing their game? Probably not. They paid $4 billion for it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like oh, I bought a Corvette for $400,000 or whatever Ferrari, and oh man, it only goes 200 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
Shucks.
I think the issue there, though, is, I mean, Paul Tassi did say this was part of the valuation when they got purchased by PlayStation, and their Bungie is helping foster the Center for Live Service Excellence. Like, having a live service game not do very great isn't a great look for Bungie. And also
the cancel GDC talks.
yeah, there's also just the minimum viable player count. Like, if you're trying to play on console and the numbers are lower than what we're seeing on Steam, like at what point is it even hard to matchmake or squad fill? Like, that's a breaking point, I think. Like, if you drop too low and those functionalities of the game stop working, it's like it could be a pretty quick downward slope. I don't think PlayStation or Bungie are necessarily panicking. I've continued to think that they're probably just internally saying, it's time to get most of you guys onto Destiny 3, because that's the only size project that justifies a studio of this size. That just Destiny 2 is having diminished revenue. I don't think Marathon's generating that much revenue. It's time to work on D3 is what I'm thinking is probably going on internally.
I think I'd like that.
That may be right.
Now, before we transition to the last section of the podcast where we talk about what we're going to be playing this week, I do want to say thank you guys so much. 98 likes. We're almost to the 100 likes that we crushed over. I think we got there after the podcast VOD went up. So thank you for anybody who's watching this as a VOD. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll be back obviously next week. But let's start with Chrono, man. Are you going to be doing more Pokemon, or what is on your schedule
more
for the week?
Pokopia. I might pick a marathon this week. I don't know.
I'll buy it for you. I will give you a copy.
Buy it.
I know. Help Bungie. Like I want to help Bungie. I want to make sure Destiny 3 gets made. So.
Stop attacking my multi-billion-dollar company, Chrono.
I'm sorry.
Multi-billion
my bad.
company alone.
Yeah. I don't know though. I might pick it up. It seems it's grown on me. Everything I see, just from gameplay's perspective, draws me in. But Pokopia is going to be hard to put down. But it's not a friendly stream game because it's like time based. Like Pokopia is like super time based, so I'm gonna have to like play off stream and record sessions to make content out of it.
What about you, Scrag? What are you playing?
Well, I'm gonna be playing a lot of Blender, but I do want to take a second to point something out. Ask anyone on this podcast who is the first person out of anyone here to say, man, fuck this large AAA company. AAA games suck. AAA games are garbage. They deserve to be in the trash. They deserve to fail. Who is the first person to say that? Me.
Be like the Brady Bunch over here.
And yet I like Marathon. That's insane if you think about it. I'm literally the first person to be like, no, large corporations suck. Game dev and AAA is a waste of money. It's a waste of resources. Am I or am I not the first person to say that every single time?
You know, your hate for everything that I like has not driven me away, and so I can admit that you hate most things that I like, and I still show up. So I appreciate you.
Well, I'm not trying to drive you off. I just
appreciate
stuff.
your base perspective on a lot of this.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that he likes this will be my last week on the show. I can't be on a show with somebody who likes Marathon. I can't do it. I can't be in the same space as someone who likes Marathon. No,
he's got two people like on the corners.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I'll go. I'll take my turn. I rolled credits on RE9.
Nice.
Fantastic. I got a couple of gripes. There were some oddities and some glitches, but just what a masterpiece of a game. Just excellent. Excited they announced DLC. Like, oh my gosh, like, yes, I literally, I don't really replay games, and I was like, I kind of want to replay this. I just want to kind of be back in the world and doing stuff again. But they dropped that Ghost of Yotei Legends update, and that is super fun. I've put 3 or 4 hours into it. I matchmake with people. We don't really talk, and it's just really, really fun. I think it's more fun when you're doing like the 2-player missions. The 4-player boss fights just get insane. It's almost like too much, but it's still fun. My wife and I are still plugging away in Power World. We're hitting like 30-something hours. So yeah.
Lana, are you gonna get Pikmin?
What's that?
You gonna get Pikmin?
Oh, is that other one that yeah? I don't.
It's the ripoff of Power World.
It's the ripoff of Power World.
It's just we're just going through derivative inceptions of like the one's derivative. We'll just it's gonna come full circle, and Pokemon will make one. That's what'll happen.
Yeah.
The as we're winding up the show, we have two more people to thank. We've got Carn Waffle with the becoming a member here at the channel, and I do have a super chat, and I'd like to end on that if we have a little bit of time because there's a question asked in the super chat. I think it's a good one, but I'll go ahead and kind of talk about what I've been playing. The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. Played that with the kids for the first time on Sunday.
Oh, it's
The
great.
remake?
It is
Switch one?
yeah, the Switch
Oh, it's
remake.
so good.
It
Yes.
is so amazing that
That's great.
I have now said that when the kids come and ask, "Hey, Dad, can we play Fortnite or can we play Minecraft?" I go, "Have you woken the windfish yet? If not, get to work,
Mhm.
child." Like
You
it
gotta
is
get
that
them.
good.
You gotta get them through with it so they can play Echoes of Wisdom, the
Yes.
one where you plays Zelda. It's so
Oh
good.
yeah. So yeah, I've dabbled with that one. Really like that one. So yes, I'm gonna have to go with that with the kids. Love the art style. Actually, originally when they kind of showed it off, I was like, "What is this?" It works. Of course, it's that.
Oh, it's
so
so
I've been absolutely going to continue to play that with the kids going into the next week. And yeah, and so it's been the thing. Okay, just as the dad moment was so proud and at the same time so excited when they started attacking the chickens, having no concept what's going to happen. And then it's just I'm over there just waiting. I'm like, this is gonna be great, and it was. It was the best payoff that I've had as a gaming dad in a long time. Watching my kids discover that you piss off the chickens, they're gonna come for you in a Zelda game. So that was truly fascinating. But let's wind down with this last question, and we'll hopefully see you guys all here next week. But Jack says, anyone here developing a game? I'll
Yes.
review it if you send me a PC with the game installed. I
That's
know.
Do you know what the reference? He's referencing the fact that Crimson Desert sent a PS5 Pro to Digital Foundry with the game installed, and it's just added to the oddities of how that game is coming to market. So they literally sent him a PlayStation. They didn't send him like a code. So that's the joke. That's the joke he's making. He's like, "Hey, I'll review games too. Just send me the PC with a game pre-installed."
Yeah,
Your internet kind of sucks over there, so we'll just send you the whole thing.
don't need to download it. Just,
it's not fishy. It's not fishy at all, boys.
Dude, that's going to be an interesting subject when that comes out, because I know Chrono, you're asking me if I'm picking up Crimson Desert, and it's like right now I'm on the fence. Like I think Lono, your advice is the most practical advice. It's just wait for reviews. Wait till you see it on the platform that you're going to play on it, and if it's good, pick it up. There's no such thing as digital scarcity.
That's right.
Unless
you don't
you're
get hurt
Nintendo.
by waiting.
That's true.
All right, guys. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Hopefully, we'll see you guys here next week, 12 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. And if you're watching this as a VOD, thanks. So again, thank you very much. But outside of that, guys, follow all these great creators in the links below, and we will see you next time.